Act 1 of The Wasters by Arthur Adams. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Wasters. Comedy in 3 acts. Act 1. Reception Hall at Ulladulla, Potts Point, Sydney, Sunday morning. Act 2. The Underskirt Department in the shop of John Dangar and Co., Sydney, Monday morning. Act 3. The same as Act 1, Monday evening. Persons in the comedy.
John Dangar, read by Josh Kibbey.
Baby Dangar, read by Leanne
YauGuy Dangar, read by Campbell
SchelpButler, read by Todd.
Anthony Clibborn, read by Aaron White.
Lindsay Thong, read by Tomas
PeterTossie Quork, read by Devorah Allen.
J. Charteris Maggs, shopwalker, read by Son of the Exiles.
Mrs. Goodsir, read by Ulrike DenisMrs.
Mrs. Megget, read by Betsy Walker.
Mrs. Cronk, read by T.J. Burns.
Elizabeth Hebblethwaite, read by phone.
Mrs. Clibborn, read by Pauline LatournerieStage.
Stage Directions, read by Sonia. Act 1. Scene. The reception hall of Ulladulla, the residence of John Dangar, Potts Point, Sydney, Australia, is furnished as a living room with comfortable chairs, tables covered with spring flowers, etc. The entrance is from the vestibule through an archway draped by a portiere. Further up in the same wall is a door, giving access to John Dangar's dressing room. There is another door opposite to the vestibule entrance. In the fireplace, in this warm Australian spring weather, there is no fire. At the back are 2 tall French windows, both of which are now open to let in the bright morning sunlight. Through these windows can be discerned a stone balustrade, down which stone steps evidently lead to the waterfront. Over the balustrade can be seen the waters of Sydney Harbour, Garden Island, and the red roofs of North Shore. It is Sunday morning. The room is empty. The voice of a man is heard from another room.
Baby? Baby!
There is no answer. John Dangar enters from his dressing room. He is a keen-eyed, dry, clean-shaven, alert businessman of 51. He is in his shirt-sleeves and carries his tie in his hand. He has evidently been worried over his stud.
Confound the stud. Baby! Where's the devil is my wife?
Mrs. Dangar enters from the garden through the French window. She is in morning costume, a charming and costly dress. She is of the usual married woman's age, 39, a pretty woman with a figure carefully attended to. At first appearance she suggests the frivolous, useless type. Her face, with its almost childish charm, explains why the epithet of baby, given her as a girl, has stuck to her so long.
What's the matter, John?
The usual trouble. Studs.
Only that? Come here, dear. I've had breakfast half an hour ago. I've been down in the garden looking at the marquee. Stand still. What helpless things you men are. There now.
Thanks, baby. Don't know why somebody can't invent a stud that works itself.
Give me your tie. Now.
Not that way, baby. You women can't even tie a tie properly. Always do the thing the wrong way. I believe every woman is left-handed.
Right about face, sir. Am I doing it, or you? Now.
Looks a bit lopsided. But it'll do.
Seeing that I've tied your tie and fixed your studs will... Oh, don't let us count up the years. It ought to do.
Yes, a man must grumble, baby.
He kisses her.
Every man grumbles before his breakfast.
I don't really know what I'd do without you, dear.
We women are of some use after all.
Yes, for tying ties.
Thank you, Lord and Master. Now be a good little boy and run away and put on your coat. You can be trusted to do that by yourself, can't you? Breakfast will be ready in 10 minutes.
I thought I'd just run down and look at the marquee.
Not before your breakfast.
John goes up to French window and looks out.
Sure it's big enough?
It will hold every employee in the shop.
This dance tomorrow ought to be a big success. It was a great idea, wasn't it, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the establishment of John Dangar and Company by a big ball to our employees. It'll be a great advertisement.
It's really a kind of copper wedding of the shop, isn't it?
A copper wedding? Yes. But that reminds me. How long have we been married, baby?
23 years last October.
23? Then...
No. We didn't celebrate our own copper wedding.
Never crossed my mind, baby. But I remembered the anniversary last year, didn't I?
The inevitable brooch. I counted them up. That's how I knew.
Baby.
Oh, I didn't mind, really. You're such a busy man, John. Besides, our marriage doesn't require an advertisement, and the shop does. By the way, John, do you know where I went yesterday?
Shopping, of course. Bought another hat?
No. I was motoring down Redfern to see that poor salesgirl who got into trouble, you remember? And the motor was passing through one of those dirty, mean little streets when it struck me as familiar. I stopped and got out and went into a little draper's shop. Oh, a dingy little draper's shop. And a dingy old woman came to the counter, and I bought a reel of cotton.
Well, I can stand that. It's your hats that...
Guess whose shop that was?
Not before breakfast, baby.
Ours.
Ours?
Not now, of course. It was ours once. It was the very shop we began from.
Our first shop. So it's still there?
Just the same. Just as hopeless and mean and cheap and dingy as when it was Dangar and Clibborn drapers.
Well, old girl, we've got past that, haven't we?
Yes, thank God. But when I came away, I made Simpson take me right round the big block of Dangar and Co. And when I looked up at our enormous store, with its acres of floor space, its miles of plate glass, its hundreds of salesgirls, its long line of motors waiting in front, I just thought...
That we got on, eh?
I was humbly thankful. And that old dingy snuffling woman in the old shop. If it hadn't been for you, your ambition and energy and business ability, well, that was what I would have been by now.
Oh, it was just luck.
Luck? No, John, it was genius.
Seriously, baby, looking back on it all, I see now that it was just chance that I went ahead.
No, you were bound to succeed.
Not if those first investments had gone wrong. Not if Clibborn had been right.
But Mr. Clibborn wasn't right. You were.
Yes, as it turned out. But I took risks, and it happened that I won. Clibborn wouldn't come in with me in what he called my rash speculations, and really they were nothing but speculations. But Clibborn was always absurdly overcautious. A businessman must be a bit of a buccaneer, and yet it was touch and go that I didn't come to smash. But I pulled through, and since then everything has come my way. The firm of Dangar simply built itself up with the expansion of Sydney. Begun where it was, on that corner site, it was bound to become the biggest drapery business in the state, while Clibborn, my old partner in that little hopeless shop in Redfern.
But you gave him his chance to come in with you as partner in those speculations.
Yes, I needed him. Then. I needed his ready cash to stiffen up my promises. But he was too cautious. It was at his own request that we dissolved partnership. But he's sorry, now. And I've got up, and he's never done anything.
I'm glad, though, that you didn't forget him.
That was the least I could do for my first partner. And he's useful as my accountant. He's slow, but he's safe. I can depend on him. But lately I've begun to think that the business is getting too big for his little peddling ways. He won't have any of these new labor-saving devices, card indexes, loose-leaf ledgers, and all that. He's too old-fashioned for modern business methods. I'll have to retire him on a pension.
Retire Mr. Clibborn?
Yes, I know it won't be easy. You can't forget that once he was my partner in that little shop in Redfern. And do you know what he had the cheek to suggest, or rather to hint the other day?
He wanted you to take him into partnership.
How did you know that?
Oh, I've always known. He wanted it from the first, as soon as he saw the business was going to succeed. He feels very bitter against you.
Failures always do.
That's the reason why Mr. Clibborn has never set foot in this house.
I've asked him often enough, but I thought it was something to do with his wife.
His wife? A salesgirl? Oh, she's impossible. Socially impossible. I couldn't ever take her up. But that wouldn't prevent him from dropping over, say, on a Sunday morning like this, just to see you and me. I'd be glad enough to see him. I don't like anybody to hate you. And I can't forget that once he was your partner in those dear old days in Redfern. He used to come to our stuffy little house often enough then. And, really, I don't see why you couldn't take him in, even now, as your partner, a junior partner. You needn't let him have any real power.
Baby, I'm always amused at your idea of business. You seem to think that money makes itself and that I could afford to let Clibborn in without risk.
I'm sure Dangar's just runs itself.
It wouldn't run long if Clibborn got hold of it. My dear, this is business, and I never let sentiment interfere with business.
Business? Men talk of business more reverently than they talk of God. And they always tell women that we poor things can't understand business.
Well, can they? Can you run your own, baby?
My own?
You've got your own private banking account, and I'll bet you don't know how much it is overdrawn at this minute.
Is it overdrawn?
Don't you know?
Why should I? I just write checks and don't bother.
Well, of course I can afford it, dear. But I would rather you didn't overdraw any more this week. Got any big bills to pay?
Lots. Bills are always with us.
Well, let them wait for a week. I'm rather short myself just now. Too many irons in the fire.
John, did you ever know me in a hurry to pay bills?
Baby, I wish you'd just take a little interest in my business. You've never even asked me what schemes I'm putting my money into.
Silly boy. You're always dinning into my ears that women are mentally incapable of understanding business.
I've often wondered why.
I'll tell you. It's because you men never try to interest us in business. A woman wants only to be interested in the things that interest her man. And there was a time, do you remember, before we were married, when you used to explain all your wonderful money-making schemes to me. And I thought that when we were married, I would become part of your business interests too. But you shut me out. You men are always shutting us women out. And so, when I saw you wouldn't discuss business with your wife, I just lost interest. Oh, and I've often thought since that if you trained me, I could be such a help to you.
Afraid it's too late now, baby. No, women can't understand.
Why, look at your shop. There's your secretary, Miss Hebblethwaite. Isn't she your right hand?
Miss Hebblethwaite has got a man's brain.
But she wears a woman's skirts. And how horribly they hang. John, if you'd only taken the trouble, I might have been in her place. I might have been your right hand, instead of that scarecrow who wears wool underneath.
Baby, I'm quite content with you as you are. And you really do help me. And tomorrow you'll help me by looking your nicest. The success of the ball depends on you.
A decorated figurehead. A nicely dressed doll. That's all the use you've ever made of me.
Well, here's your chance. I don't like this ill feeling of Clibborn's. I want every person in the shop to be on good terms with me. I treat 'em all fairly enough. Now, couldn't we conciliate Clibborn a little?
But you won't have him for a partner.
No, that's business. But outside business we might flatter him a little. He feels it, I think, that you won't take up his wife. Why shouldn't you invite Mrs. Clibborn tomorrow?
But she is invited, with the rest of the employees.
Oh, not as the wife of an employee, as a personal friend, as a member of your house party, to help you receive your guests.
As a guest? That woman!
She's the wife of my accountant.
She was a shop girl.
My dear, did we start much higher up?
Mrs. Clibborn. A common thing like her.
But we're common too.
Yes, but we are successful. We're rich. Society simply had to take us up, though it took long enough about it. But I've snubbed that woman. She can come as the wife of an employee, or not at all.
But surely, if I ask you as a favor, baby?
No, because this is business.
Business?
Women's business. Society is our business. The only business you let women run. Why, if I took that woman up and attempted to foist her upon my society friends, they might drop me. And I've struggled too long and too desperately to get in, to risk being dropped again. But, there, your breakfast is getting cold. Run away, you poor starving boy, and put on your coat. Lindsay said he'd be over this morning to help you with the arrangements.
Then you won't invite Mrs. Clibborn?
No, dear. You don't understand. Unless, of course, you take Mr. Clibborn into partnership. Then my friends would recognise that I had to, and, in time, they might even take her up.
There's only one partner that I'll ever take, and that's our son.
But you know Guy doesn't like the business.
He will when I'm done with him. This idea of mine of sending him to learn the whole business by starting from the bottom will make him quite capable of taking over the reins when I drop them. It's that made me, my first-hand knowledge of every department. And the boy's getting on. Clibborn tells me that Guy has done very well in the accountant's office. In fact, he's got on so quickly that tomorrow I'm shifting him into the shop.
Into the shop? But what for?
To learn how things are sold. That's the whole art of drapery. Selling women things they don't want but must have. And the things they wouldn't on any account buy we label bargains. So tomorrow morning our boy starts his brief career as a shopwalker.
Guy a shopwalker? Oh, John, surely that's not necessary. He won't like it.
He doesn't like it. I told him yesterday.
Our boy a shopwalker? Oh, John, it isn't fair.
He's got to go through 3 months of it before I send him to our buyer in London. It's disagreeable, I grant, but I was a shopwalker once. Shopwalker and salesman and delivery van. And the boy who sweeps out the shop.
I know, John. But now things are different. I won't dare to be seen in the shop. Fancy Guy having to ask our society friends to step this way, madam. It's cruel to Guy. Cruel to me.
It's business. And he'll be in good hands. I've put him in charge of Maggs.
Oh, John, if he grows like Maggs.
He's the most beautiful shopwalker that ever walked a shop.
But Guy is a shopwalker.
It's business.
Of course. But you're forgetting your breakfast. Run away. Here's Guy. I want to speak to him.
You want to spoil him some more, I suppose. I often wonder why women are entrusted with the bringing up of children.
We provide them, dear.
With a gesture, recognizing the hopelessness of argument with baby, John retires to his dressing-room. Guy Dangar enters from the garden. He is a weak-looking but harmless boy of 20, with a strong family likeness to his mother. He is well dressed in a lounge suit, and enters smoking a cigarette.
Well, Guy, what do you think of the marquee?
I hate it, Mum. Hate the whole thing.
But think of the advertisement for the shop.
Hate the shop.
But you're going to be a partner, and when John retires, you'll have sole control.
A draper. A rag seller. I want to be a man. Have you heard the latest, Mum? I've got to go into the shop. Shop walking. I told Father I'd see him dead first.
But it's for your own good, Guy. You will?
If Father says so, I suppose I must. But he knows I'm unfitted for the whole job. Why can't he let me chuck the whole thing and go out west? He wants me to spend my life selling hats and corsets and things. And out back there are horses to ride and cattle to round up, and I'd love to go out back. Fancy a man having to sell women's stockings.
But you must go through with it, dear.
It's no work for a man, Mum. Mum, I want you to do something for me. Where's Father?
Eating a cold breakfast, I'm afraid. What's the trouble, child?
You've got to lend me £200.
What on earth do you want with £200?
I've been betting.
Bidding? Oh, Guy.
It was a sure thing, a dead cert, only the silly horse didn't start.
Surely if the horse didn't start, you couldn't lose any money on it?
Fat lot you know about racing.
But, Guy, since your father increased your allowance, you ought to have plenty of money, even for betting.
Oh, that wasn't enough.
Surely £12 a week?
That went quick enough. And, Mum, I'm in a bad hole. I must have that 200 by tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
First thing.
If you must, of course. I'll give you a cheque. Oh, no, I forgot. John says I'm badly overdrawn and asked me not to pay anything for a week.
But, Mom, it's serious. I simply must have it by tomorrow morning.
You'll have to tell your father. If it's so serious, he must see you through.
No, I couldn't ask father.
Why not?
Oh, he wouldn't stand my betting and all that.
I see, dear. Well, I'll get it from him, somehow. He won't know what it's for. I'll tell it is for the last dresses I got. Say that Madame insists. I can't have you in trouble, child. But you must promise me you won't ever bet again. At least, only on horses that do start.
Get me that 200 quid and I'll never bet again. But father mustn't know.
I'll worm it out of him somehow, dear. I can't have you worried.
That's a good mum.
He kisses her and goes out, whistling, watched anxiously by Baby.
I do wish John would let the boy go on the land. He's not safe here.
The butler shows in a visitor.
I'll inform Mr. Dangar, sir, if you'll kindly wait here, sir.
Anthony Clibborn enters. He is an oldish man, dressed carelessly. His face is lined and made bitter by ill success. His manner is gruff and uncompromising. Baby is surprised to see him.
Tony!
Good morning, Mrs. Dangar.
Mr. Clibborn, you said you'd never come here.
I didn't come to call, Mrs. Dangar. This is a business matter.
Business? On Sunday?
It won't wait.
About the shop?
About Mr. Guy.
Tony? Not that. That is done with. Dead.
Oh, it's nothing to do with that. We buried that. You needn't fear any resurrection, Mrs. Dangar.
But you said... But of course it's about Guy's new position. He's to be a shop walker tomorrow. Fancy Guy, a shop walker.
It is to settle what Mr. Guy is to be tomorrow.
But I'm interested. Surely you could tell me, his mother?
No. This is business. Private business with my employer.
Always business. Oh well, he'll be here in a minute.
The butler returns.
Mr. Dangar isn't in the house, sir. I think he's just gone out into the garden to look over the marquee, sir.
I'll go to him then. Excuse me, Mrs. Dangar.
Clibborn goes out. The butler, coming down to the door, is met by another visitor. LaLyndsay Thong comes in. He is a man of middle age, carefully preserved and scrupulously dressed, evidently a society man, and obviously, with his experienced air, attractive to women.
Lindsay, Mr. Clibborn's here.
Clibborn? Thought he never came here. But why?
I tried to find out. He wouldn't tell. No, Lindsay, it isn't that.
Nonsense. That's all done with. Paid for.
Yes, it's been paid for. I've paid for it for over 20 years. Every day of 20 years. I'm foolish to think. But the shock of seeing him actually here. I can't get away from the fear that...
Oh, it was some trifling business matter that couldn't wait till Monday.
Lindsay, I'm frightened. I know it's impossible, but still...
Now, baby, you mustn't be a little silly. That secret is safe. Safe with Clibborn and me. Why, we three are the only persons in the world who know that secret, and there isn't one of us who hasn't everything to lose by telling it. The past does not give up its dead. Life hurries on. Innumerable busy feet have trodden that little grave long ago level with the earth. What was it, after all? Clibborn was in love with you before you met John, and you naturally chose John. And then after your marriage...
Oh, I was weak. Horribly weak. But I never told you how it happened. What made it happen? I never excused myself to you. You didn't even ask me.
It wasn't my place to ask.
No, you were always too true a friend. You never even blamed me, I believe, even in thought.
Blame you? Blame you, baby? You were young. You wanted love. And John neglected you. Well, these things happen.
But it needn't have happened. And yet, when I married John, I loved him. In the light way a young girl takes a man's love as her right, who takes all, and gives merely her beauty, her youth. Oh, I didn't know then that love means giving. Giving everything. Giving always. but I have learnt now. And the love that I have for John is a greater love, the real love. But after that first wonderful year, when John got absorbed and worried over those speculations of his, when he seemed to forget me, when I felt myself thrust out of his life, not wanted even to play with, and all my soul was aching to help him, even only to be asked to help him, I grew bitter. Oh, I don't blame him. His soul was in his business. He was more in love with his business than he ever was with me. It's that sort of soul, the business soul. Only I was young and passionate and spoilt, and in my loneliness I told myself that I was neglected, forgotten. And Tony was always there. He was John's partner then, you remember? Why, John used to send Tony with messages to say that he was detained in town on business night after night. He used even to scribble notes to me, telling me he couldn't get home to dinner. Dinners I had specially cooked for him, asking me to make Tony stay to dine, to take his place, in case I felt lonely. Lonely! And then...
The inevitable.
No, it needn't have been. But that man worked on my weakness. He never said anything that I could pin him down to. But he left the devilish suggestion that it wasn't business that kept John in town so often, that there was another woman, other women. And I was jealous. I didn't understand. I had been brought up on sentimental novels that told me that love was the only thing in the world. It might be for us women, but for men? Oh, it's a big world, and women don't play much part in a man's world, except for his relaxation. And so, I was only too ready to believe. And how fatally easily I believed.
But it came out all right in the end. John never suspected. You saw your mistake. In time.
Yes. I came to my senses. Too late. And it was you who pulled me through. If it hadn't been for you, Lindsay.
I didn't do much. I guessed how things were going because, well, naturally I took an interest in you, baby. I just dropped a hint.
You saved me, Lindsay.
You saved yourself. And it all ended. Those few months of madness passed, and John never had a suspicion.
That has been my torture ever since. It's incredible that he's never guessed. I watch him and wonder. And wonder. You were wrong, Lindsay. Wrong in not letting me confess. He might have forgiven me. In time. When I had paid in suffering. And then he would have taken me back. Freely. Forgiven. And the torture would have been ended. The debt forever paid off. But now? Now I am paying every hour. I must go on paying. Paying!
Baby, you mustn't give way to these foolish fancies. I tell you, John hasn't a suspicion. When a man's soul is given to business, he takes his wife on trust. And it isn't the you that you are now that went wrong 20 years ago. It was another you, a passing phase of you. You've grown out of that phase. It is no more to you now than a passing fit of anger. That you is dead. Your boy.
Yes, my boy. Whenever I've goaded myself to tell, it has been that baby that closed my mouth with his pretty little innocent talk, his trusting eyes. Oh, Lindsay, why does God give children such innocent eyes?
What good would it have done? You couldn't have been so mad as to ruin John's life.
I couldn't ruin Guy's life.
Guy?
Lindsay, I can trust you. I never told.
She masters her impulse.
It was because I was a mother.
Well, it's all right now.
But Tony here, now, after all these years.
Only business.
But I'm frightened.
Well, to set your absurd fears at rest, I'll see Clibborn. Where is he?
Waiting for John in the garden.
I'll have a word with Clibborn before he... You would never be so mad. And yet, a bitter, disappointed man.
Baby goes swiftly to the French window before him.
Tony's coming now. With John.
Steady, baby, it's all right. It must be all right.
Thong and Baby go out through the side door. John and Clibborn come in from the garden.
All right, eh? That floor is perfect for dancing. Trust my wife for doing her share of it properly. It was decent of you to drop over and see it, Clibborn.
It wasn't for that. It's a matter of business. I couldn't mention it in the presence of the workmen down there.
Business? On Sunday?
Too important to wait. I'm sorry to say that I've discovered a serious discrepancy in my books.
A theft? How much?
£200.
Oh, I can stand that. I pay more than that every year for my wife's hats. Any clue to the thief?
It's only too plain.
One of my employees? His name?
Guy Dangar.
Guy? My son? Take care, Clibborn. This is not the time to joke.
It is the truth. I have ample proof.
The proof, men, quick.
I'll show you at the office tomorrow. I couldn't bring the ledgers here.
Guy. Impossible.
It was easily enough found out. The boy didn't know enough to cover his tracks. I can't understand how he imagined he wouldn't be found out. Unless he meant to put it back tomorrow. I never thought of that. Yes, he might have escaped detection then. It just happened that I was looking over his work on Saturday afternoon. You know he's finished up in my office now to go into the shop. I like the boy. I thought you would like a personal report from me as to how he's shaped. If I had waited until next week, he could have put that £200 back, and I would never have known. At least never have been sure enough to accuse him. Mr. Guy had access to all the books and the safe according to your instructions. I don't think you can blame me, Mr. Dangar.
But what could he want with £200?
Well, that's what I can't make out, though he's been spending a lot of money lately. I had a hint from Maggs that he'd been to the races rather often. Betting, I suppose. But then he had plenty of money of his own. I spoke to him about his expenses a fortnight ago, but he set my doubts at rest. Otherwise I would have spoken to you. That big increase in your private allowance to him surely gives him enough to gamble on racehorses.
Increase in his allowance? What do you mean?
Didn't you increase his allowance? Haven't you been giving him an extra £12 a week since he came into my office?
No, £12 a week.
He distinctly told me you were.
Oh, his mother must have done it from a private account. She's so fond of the boy. Denies him nothing.
He definitely told me that the increase came from you.
You must be mistaken. The whole thing's absurd. Steal? My boy?
But my proofs. And this lie about his allowance explains it all.
Baby, we'll soon settle about his increase. And the other matter will be as easily explained.
Baby Dangar enters.
Baby, have you been giving Guy an extra allowance?
To Clibborn.
How much did you say?
£12 a week.
What is it, John?
Did you give Guy any money lately? An increase in the allowance I made him?
Yes. I've been giving him £12 a week. The boy needed it.
For how long?
Oh, 2 months or so. I can't remember.
How much has he had altogether?
I couldn't tell exactly.
But your checkbook, that would tell.
I didn't draw checks, not specially for him. Just a lump sum, and I gave it to him in gold. He specially asked me for it in gold.
John to Clibborn.
You see?
What is it, John, about Guy?
Only a trifling business matter, baby. Mr. Clibborn has made a mistake. It was necessary to trouble you to clear it up.
And it's all right now?
Thanks to you, it is all right.
But you can tell me, John.
No, it's just business.
Business? But surely his mother might help?
You have helped. Now run away like a dear. My business with Mr. Clibborn will not take 2 minutes, and then we'll go and settle about the decorations.
I'm so glad it is all right about the allowance.
She goes out, slowly.
So, Guy's extra pocket money is explained, and this preposterous charge of yours is another mare's nest.
That money of Mrs. Dangar's was paid in gold.
Why not? Women don't like checks.
No. check butts can always be looked up.
You mean you have the damned impudence to suggest that Mrs. Dangar was not telling the truth?
Women don't always tell the truth. And she is his mother.
John suddenly threatens him with a lifted fist.
Wait! Do you think truth matters a tuppence to a mother when she is shielding her child?
I'll kill you for that, Clibborn. Take it back, apologize, or...
All right. She was speaking the truth. But still that doesn't explain away the fact that your son stole 200...
200 fiddlesticks! My boy isn't a thief.
Yet he lied to me about your allowance to him, and it came, as we've just seen, from Mrs. Dangar.
Yes, but there I only have your bare word. You'll have to prove it.
I shall prove it, in a court of law.
What? You wouldn't dare.
It may be necessary to subpoena your wife. I consider it is my duty to bring this theft before the police.
Nonsense. Even if it were so, mind you, I'm not admitting it, not for one instant. It is all in the firm. Nobody's concern but mine. And, if the boy has been so foolish, I choose to overlook it. It shall go on no further. I shall deal with my son myself.
But you're forgetting that I'm not in the firm.
You are, unless you mean to leave.
I'm in the firm as an employee. But once I was your partner.
Oh, and that tuppeny-happeny business. Well?
If I were your partner now, I should see the advisability of overlooking this mistake for the sake of the firm.
I see. Blackmail. You dare to bribe me.
If you put it in that crude way, yes.
Then I refuse to be bribed.
You? His father?
I am more than that. I am the firm. I must consider the firm.
I must consider myself. You've got my terms. You refuse them, then your son will have to prove his innocence before a jury.
You'll lay in information?
It would be my duty.
You couldn't do it. You're merely an employee.
I shall not be tomorrow.
After all, Clibborn, you may be mistaken.
I don't make mistakes about money.
But if tomorrow you find that you're mistaken about my son...
Yes?
I shall increase your salary. I have had it in mind for some time. Quite a considerable increase. Or else retire you with a comfortable pension.
So, you can bribe too. But your bribe isn't big enough. My terms are a partnership, with full powers.
Blackmail! Never.
Then your son will be arrested.
By God, Clibborn, you'll have to prove it in black and white before I
may lie. The books can't.
Then you can go to hell.
Yes, to hell. But I'll take your son with me. Honestly, I hate to expose that boy. He's only a boy yet. I like him. You could make a fine chap of him, but not in the drapery business. But he has got in my way. I can't afford to consider anyone.
Have your proofs ready at your office tomorrow morning. I'll examine this thing myself. Good day.
Till tomorrow morning, then. Good morning, Mr. Dangar.
Anthony Clibborn goes out.
My boy. It's like a nightmare. No, but if... Baby. It'll break her heart. Baby.
Baby Dangar comes in.
Did you call me, John?
Did I? I don't know.
What is it about Guy? You must help him, John. Stand by him. He's in trouble. He spoke to me just now. He made me promise to get him some money tomorrow. He must have it by tomorrow morning. John, he's been a little foolish. He's only a boy yet. Betting. He lost some money. He must pay it back tomorrow.
How much? How much?
£200.
200?
John, you'll help him out, our son?
I must wait until tomorrow.
You can tell me, his mother.
You? No. This is a business matter.
You shut us out. Always you men shut us women out.
Curtain. End of Act 1. Act 2 of The Wasters by Arthur Adams. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2. Scene. In the underskirt department in the shop of John Dangar & Co. An L-shaped counter runs along one side of the room and round the corner at the back. This counter ends to allow entrance to the next department, which is by an arched opening. At the back there is another archway, leading to a lift. Along the other side of the room runs an opaque glass partition, shutting off the offices from the shop. A door situated in this partition is marked Accountant, Private. Opposite the archway mentioned there is another. Behind the counter is a background of polished wood lockers, the doors of some of which are open, swinging downwards, allowing the contents of these lockers, piles of lingerie, to be disclosed. Above the lockers, the walls are panelled with narrow mirrors. Near the middle of the floor there is arranged a group of shaped stands, upon which underskirts and corsets are fitted. This group is so placed that it practically shuts off from view any customer occupied in the angle of the counter from any person near the accountant's office. The room is lit by electricity. It is 9 o'clock on the following morning. Tossie Quork, a meek, pathetic-looking, pretty little salesgirl in elegant black, is engaged in shutting up the lockers behind the counter. This done, she comes out from behind the counter with an underskirt in her hands, and drapes it round a shape in the centre. Then she stands off and rapturously admires it.
Wouldn't I just like one like you, you dear? You're heavenly.
She goes to the corset stand and arranges a corset.
And you darling. Oh, to feel you round my waist. I do believe I'd rather have you than a man's arm.
Looking cautiously round to see that she is alone, she produces from the bosom of her dress a tiny buttonhole bouquet.
I wonder if he will take it. Oh, if he only would. He takes buttonholes quick enough from that scraggy secretary, ExilesMrs Hebblethwaite, and he can't see anything to admire in that scarecrow in specs. She's not pretty enough to be a salesgirl. All she can do is to type letters and walk through here as if she owned the shop. Stuck-up thing. It's such a love of a buttonhole. It will become his darling frock coat. Oh, if he'd only let me pin it in.
She kisses it.
Here he is.
She hastily hides the flower in her dress and busies herself at the underskirt. Charteris Maggs makes his imposing entrance. He is the head shop-walker at Dangar's, a gorgeous and superb being. A man of 45, with the intimate knowledge of woman gained by a long and honourable career in shop-walking. He is quite satisfied with himself, and, not observing Tossie, strolls over and inspects himself in a mirror.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Maggs.
Good morning, Miss Quork. Nothing doing this morning, of course, with this strike of tram guards on. I had to walk, actually walk, all the way from Bondi. There wasn't a single tram running.
I bet there's not half a dozen customers in all day. My trouble's whether this tram strike goes on for a week. You do look nice, Mr. Maggs.
For the credit of Dangars, I have to look, nice, Miss Quork.
You know the whole shop is proud of you, Mr. Maggs. But it seems to me, if you'll pardon my presumption, that the effect is a bit severe. Now, wouldn't a tricky little buttonhole relieve that beautiful frock coat?
Possibly, Miss Quork, but a perfect buttonhole is as rare as a perfect soup. I have never come across either. I selected 3 buttonholes this morning. I had to sacrifice them all. In my position, a clashing buttonhole would be a catastrophe. And I am not sure that Mr. Dangar would altogether like me to wear a flower in my coat. It might convey the impression to my clients that I took my profession lightly.
Well, you wore one on Saturday, and the day before, Mr. Maggs.
Ah, those were dull, overcast days. They need a touch of colour. I supplied it. But a bright day like this, it seems an impertinence.
You know Mr. Dangar never comes into the shop, and old Clibborn there in his stuffy office don't count. Mr. Dangar lets you do as you like. He knows that his whole business hangs on you.
I am proud to say that Mr. Dangar appreciates my value.
I'd be so proud, Mr. Maggs, if you'd wear this.
She produces the flower, which Maggs takes condescendingly.
A trifle gay, perhaps, but tasty, yes, tasty.
Holds it to his coat in front of the mirror and hands it back in silence.
Oh.
You may pin it in.
Oh, that's nice of you, Mr. Maggs.
Pins it in.
No trouble, I assure you, Miss Quork. Very thoughtful of you. Very loyal to the interests of the firm.
The firm? What do I care for the rotten old firm? I did it for you.
It is a distinct improvement, Miss Quork.
Indeed, Mr. Maggs. I don't think you need any improvement.
Naughty, naughty. I say, Miss Quork, if you like, you can call me Charteris. I prefer it to Maggs.
I think Maggs is a most distinguing name, Mr. Charteris, and, if you like, you can call me Tossie. My real name, of course, is Euphemia. Euphemia Titania Quork.
Quork. I don't like Quork.
Oh, Quork don't really matter. That's only temporary.
Have you any particular preference for another name, Tossie?
I'm always trying in the directory. You know, you just open a page anywhere and put your finger on a name. But he's usually McAllister or Matthews, and he's always married. It's a funny thing, Mr. Charteris, but all the directories I've tried always open at M.
She moves shyly away.
Tossie, I...
He puts out his arm to encircle her waist without looking at her. But owing to Tossie having moved away, it is a corset stand that he embraces. He discovers his mistake and steps briskly down after her when Mrs. Goodsir enters from the lift. She is a middle-aged lady of an almost skittish manner. Tossie hastily retreats behind her counter.
Your pleasure, madam?
Good morning, Mr. Maggs.
Good morning, Mrs. Goodsir. Your pleasure this morning?
Stockings.
Yes, madam. This way, madam. And how is Mr. Goodsir this morning?
Livery, Mr. Maggs, a livery. It's this dreadful tram strike.
Ah.
Leaning over the back of a chair and in his desire to be ingratiating, almost embracing her.
We all suffer, Mrs. Goodsir. If you only knew how I suffer myself. And it is so difficult for a man occupying my position. I have always to preserve an appearance of suavity with all my customers. Of course, with you, Mrs. Goodsir, it is a pleasure, a little ray of sunshine in my daily round.
She beams.
But some of my clients, madam, you can't guess how sensitive my soul is to a manner. Sometimes I'd give a week's salary just to explode, if you'll pardon me, Mrs. Goodsir. Of course, with Mr. Goodsir it must be much easier. He needn't suffer in silence.
He doesn't. This morning at breakfast, well, I just had to come straight out and buy a dozen pairs of stockings.
I can sympathise, madam. Breakfast is the breaking point of matrimony. But fortunately we're showing some very smart things in stockings.
Ah, yes, you're so entertaining, Mr. Maggs, that I was forgetting what I came for. This way, you said?
This way, madam.
He waves her obsequiously out.
Thank you, Mr. Maggs. I really don't know what I would do without you. Good morning.
No pleasure, Mrs. Goodsir, a real pleasure. Good morning, madam.
Mrs. Goodsir disappears. Tossie, who has been watching Maggs's demeanour with Mrs. Goodsir jealously.
The way you do go on, Charteris, making love to every woman that comes into the shop.
I must, Tossie. They expect it. They demand it. They like it. And you mustn't forget, Tossie, that I'm paid for it. But my real love, I keep that in a thermos flask.
Mrs. Megget and Mrs. Cronk arrive from the lift. Mrs. Megget is a tall, thin woman, and Mrs. Cronk a short and abundant one. From their dress it is evident that they are both from a cheap suburb, and that their husbands, if they have husbands, are clerks or small tradesmen.
Your pleasure, madams?
Underskirts.
Underskirts, madam, or underskirts?
The sort I want to see are underskirts.
You know, the ones with...
I know, madam. Blue.
Pink.
Pink ribbons, of course. More tricky. Suit you, madam.
To Tossie.
Underskirts.
To customers.
Take a seat, madams.
Tossie goes to the end of the counter to fetch samples. Mrs. Megget and Mrs. Cronk go up and sit in the angle of the counter.
Delightful weather, isn't it, madams? Pity there's that tram strike, though. The idea of those tram guards striking.
My brother-in-law is a tram conductor. What with the wages he's getting and his 5 children, I say he's quite right to.
Quite right, madam. The way the tram conductors are ground down.
That's what I say.
Now this class of goods will just suit this weather. Though just now blue is being more worn.
I prefer pink.
Certainly, madam. We have all the new shades. And pink is so much more attractive by gaslight.
Tossie has returned with underskirts, which the customers examine. Maggs moves away and titivates the underskirt on the stand.
No, I want something of a better quality.
These look very common, don't they, Mrs. Cronk? I'm surprised at a shop like this selling these rags.
Certainly, madam. I'll show you all the latest creations.
Going off, she meets Maggs.
They don't look much, do they? Still, you can't ever tell. They may be rich. I'll fetch the old guys something gaudy that'll get 'em all right. Better keep your eyes on 'em, though.
Kleptos? No, not well enough dressed.
Tossie goes off.
What I like, Mrs. Megget, at my time of life, and my tender feet, is a real good morning shopping. Of course, I never buy anything. I always get my things from a cheaper shop. I believe in getting value for my money. But I do like to see the latest things. And these underskirts. I've never seen 'em on any of my friends, I'm thankful to say. I've never seen 'em anywhere but on the stage. And everybody seems to wear 'em on the stage. And they always let you know.
I wouldn't be seen dead in 'em.
I can't see why any decent woman wants to wear these things. A shameful waste of good money, I call it. Because what's the good of wearing expensive material like this when you can't show it to anybody but the washerwoman? And we do our own washing.
If I had one of 'em on, I'd simply have to show it to somebody, and my poor husband's dead.
Disgraceful waste, I call it. If you want to wear lace like this, put it somewhere where your neighbors can see it.
Oh, Mrs. Cronk, I wouldn't say that. I've got on a pair of open-work stockings. No, I can't show 'em to you till that man turns his back. And I always have my skirts made long and respectable. But do you know, I get quite a lot of pleasure out of the mere fact that I've got 'em on, even though I'm a widow. How poor Absalom would have liked to have seen 'em, too.
My husband, Mrs. Megget, prefers 'em plain. What a time that girl takes. 'Tain't as if there'd be any other customers in here till the trams start running, but you'd think we'd had all the morning to waste.
Well, so we have.
Yes, but that girl don't know it. Lazy, simpering, good-for-nothing, I call 'em.
She rises and notices the corset stand.
Are these the new corsets?
Yes, madam, just a sample pair. The corset department is on the next floor. You take the lift, madam. Yes, madam, everybody is wearing them.
Mrs. Megget, who has followed Mrs. Cronk down.
How do you know?
By the charming figure it gives, madam.
Quite time, too, there was a new figure. There's far too many of these ips about. Ips are necessary in reason, I grant you, but ips has had their day.
Max is called to the lift by another customer, with whom he speaks, and then directs into the lift again.
I don't agree with you, Mrs. Megget. I think hips are becoming and womanly. If these new corsets do away with hips, you mark my solemn words, Mrs. Megget, hips will come back.
It says here, Mrs. Cronk.
She takes a newspaper clipping from her bag.
In this advertisement, which I cut from the morning's paper, it says here that we are to banish the generously developed ip. We are to have the ip that's flat.
Well, I simply can't, and that's flat. If it comes to a question of hips or unhappiness, my money goes on hips.
You might as well be dead as not in the fashion.
I'd rather be dead with my own hips than be alive without 'em.
Tossie returns, laden with boxes.
These are the latest importations, madam. Now this would just suit you, I'm sure.
The customers examine them minutely during the following scene. Guy Dangar enters through the archway. He is frock-coated, ready for his apprenticeship to the shop-walking profession. He looks pale and worried.
Good morning, Mr. Dangar. Mr. Dangar Senior has done me the great honour of putting you under my tuition, sir. And as there won't be any customers in this morning, owing to the tram strike, we can start now on the preliminaries, sir.
All right, Max, fire away. I hate the whole show.
Hate shop-walking, Mr. Dangar? I hope you'll pardon me, sir, but you shock and pain me. Shop-walking is an exacting profession, sir. Not one man in 100 is fit to shop-walk. In fact, sir, the shop-walker, as compared with the rest of humanity, is a sort of Superman. You've read Nietzsche, sir?
Nietzsche? What's that? Sounds like a sneeze.
To humanity, sir, Nietzsche is a sneeze. A good, healthy sneeze, sir, clearing the head. He is my favourite author, sir.
I say, Mags, is Nietzsche necessary for shop-walking?
Nietzsche is necessary for everyone, sir. I get much comfort and encouragement from Nietzsche.
Well, get ahead. What have I to do first?
Don't run away with the idea, sir, that it's easy to shop-walk. The most difficult thing is to acquire a manner. Fortunately, sir, I was born with one. I claim no credit for it, sir. I was destined to be a shop-walker. Shop-walkers are born, not made. My father was a butcher. He is still a butcher. If fate had not interposed, I should have been a butcher. But quite early in life I gave signs of my genius for shop-walking. It began with playing at keeping shops with other children. Ever considered, sir, how fond children are of playing at keeping shops? It shows, sir, that the shop-walking instinct is implanted in the human race. Every child wants to shop-walk, but few manage to attain their ambition. And when I played with other children, anybody could be behind the counter. I shop-walked. And as I grew up, my imagination was fired by the sight of shop-walkers. I watched them at their profession, sir. I followed them reverently through the street. The crisis in my life came when one day I saw a shop-walker reeling home drunk. But the shop-walking temperament is invulnerable to fate. Next day I peeped into the shop, and I saw my shop-walker genial and impassive again. It was a lesson to me, sir, a spur to my ambition. My father attempted to interest me in chops. He even sent me out with the cart, sir. But I found that a manner is lost on a servant girl at the back door. No personal charm could prevail on a servant girl to order one extra chop. I tried it and failed. Henceforth I knew that butchering was not my forte. No doubt there are estimable butchers. My father is one. But butchering is merely a trade, sir. Shop-walking is an art. I entered this shop as a shop-sweeper. Mr. Dangar divined my genius one morning when I was sweeping out and an early customer had come in. He promoted me on the spot. Since then I have never looked back, and now you see, sir, I am at the top of my profession. You see, sir, you cannot suppress the shop-walking flair. My father is a small butcher. I am head shop-walker at Dangar's. Please God, my son and my son's son will be shop-walkers. I mean to establish a dynasty of shop-walkers. Generation after generation of Charteris Maggs will shop-walk down the centuries until perhaps there will come the super shop-walker that Nietzsche predicts.
To me it all seems bally-rot, and as there don't seem anything useful for me to do just now, I'll run out and see a chap at the Australia.
He turns to go. John Dangar enters.
Guy, starting your new work. Maggs will put you through.
Morning, Dad.
Good morning, sir.
Tossie, who is behind the counter, to customers.
I'll show you another in that style, only cheaper, madam.
She goes out. John to Meggs.
Is Mr. Clibborn in yet?
He is in his office, sir.
You're going to see the accountant, Father.
Just a little business matter.
But you always sent for Clibborn.
Oh, I want to examine the books.
The books?
Yes. Nothing important, my boy. It'll be all right. Don't go far away, I may want you.
Me?
Yes.
John Dangar goes into the office.
I can't stop here while he's examining the books. But no, he can't have found out.
To Meggs.
I'll be back in 10 minutes if the governor wants me.
He goes out.
I think, Mrs. Megget, I'll make one like this for my little Araminta.
Elizabeth Hebblethwaite enters. She is a scraggy little woman of 29, clever, spectacled, mannish. She is John Dangar's private secretary, and has an idea of her own importance. Judging by her straight-raked sandy hair and her ill-fitting dress, she cares little for her appearance.
Good morning, Mr. Maggs.
Morning, Miss Hebblethwaite. It's a pleasure to see you here. A little ray of sunshine in the shop.
Eliza, producing a buttonhole bouquet.
I was wondering, Mr. Maggs, if you'd care to wear this.
Seeing that he has already a flower in his coat.
Oh, I see I've come too late, and I took such care in making this up for you.
Know this?
He sees that Tossie is not present.
Just a poor scraggly thing I stuck in anyhow. It is of no consequence, Miss Hebblethwaite.
He takes the flower out and drops it behind the corset stand.
Oh, Mr. Maggs, that is so gallant of you.
A buttonhole picked by your fingers, Miss Hebblethwaite? You may pin it in.
It's a pleasure to meet a real gent these days. Of course, you'll be at the ball tonight.
She pins it in.
It is my duty to the firm. But you?
Oh, I just dote on dancing. I could waltz all night.
I thought, Miss Hebblethwaite, that an important official like you, the private secretary to the head of the firm, wouldn't care for such frivolity.
That's hardly nice of you, Mr. Maggs. Why shouldn't I care for frivolity? I'm a woman, aren't I?
A woman? Why, of course, certainly. Only it didn't occur to me that you...
Simply because I'm a good businesswoman, you imagined I don't frivol. Did you ever discover a woman who really cared for anything else than being a woman?
I have always looked on you, Miss Hebblethwaite, as being above that sort of thing.
Above waltzing? There's nothing above waltzing. You ask me for one tonight.
I will, my dear Miss Hebblethwaite. 2.
Oh, you flatter me, Mr. Maggs.
No trouble, I assure you. A pleasure.
Tossie enters, burdened with underskirts.
There he is again, making love to that scrag in specs. Rabbit face.
She flings down the underskirts angrily on the counter.
But there, I'll have to run. I've got 20 letters to type.
Waving her hand coquettishly to Maggs.
Till tonight, Charteris.
Till tonight, Eliza.
Elizabeth goes out.
Let me see.
He makes a pencil note on his cuff.
£180 plus £250. She must be getting £250 in her confidential position. Makes £330 a year. A tidy little income to set up house on. And I know a nice little cottage in Mossman that we could get for 30 shillings a week.
Mrs. Clibborn enters from the lift. She is a young woman, frivolous and cheaply pretty.
Good morning, Mrs. Clibborn. And what is your pleasure this morning?
I'm not shopping this morning. I just run in to see my husband.
I'm afraid, Mrs. Clibborn, he's engaged with Mr. Dangar.
In there? But surely he can see his own wife.
I'll inquire, madam.
He knocks. The door is opened by Anthony Clibborn, who does not advance from the door of his office. Maggs goes off, shielding his new buttonhole from Tossie.
Tony, I must see you for a minute.
Sorry, dear, but I'm very busy.
Oh, that can wait.
With Mr. Dangar.
He can wait. It's about him I came. I want you to be sure to ask Mr. Dangar for an invite for the ball tonight.
But we've got invitations.
How stupid you are, Tony. We are invited as employees, just like the factory hands. We've got a right to go as guests, as Mrs. Dangar's friends, to be with her when she receives.
But you know that's impossible.
She is impossible, always trying to snub me. But I'll get even with her yet. Mr. Dangar's got no false pride. He's an old friend of yours. You can easily worm an invite out of him.
I've got no claim on Dangar, now. Excuse me, I'm busy.
He shuts the door. Mrs. Clibborn waits a moment, nonplussed, then wanders away and inspects the corsets. Baby Dangar arrives from the lift.
Good morning, Mrs. Dangar. Delightful weather, isn't it?
Yes, delightful.
She sweeps past her to the office and knocks.
She's only a shopkeeper's wife, anyhow.
Mrs. Clibborn goes out. The office door is opened by John Dangar.
You, John?
Yes, baby. What did you want me for?
I didn't want to see you. I came, to see Mr. Clibborn.
Clibborn? What do you want to see him for?
It's for Guy. I must see Mr. Clibborn.
Clibborn is engaged with me just now on important business. We are in the middle of our investigations. Can't possibly let him be called away now.
What is it, John? What are you doing to Guy? Surely you're not going to punish him for a trifling bit. No. There's something behind all this. Something you're both keeping from me.
It isn't proved yet.
Proved?
You must leave this matter to me, baby. You can trust me to do the best for Guy. Now run away. I'll tell you all about it if there is anything to tell. By the way, if you see Guy, tell him I want to see him here at once.
Guy! What hateful secret thing are you and that man in there doing to my boy? It's like a torture chamber to me, and I must stand outside.
Baby, you're beside yourself. I'm his father. I'll do all I can, in honor.
He retires to the office.
Honor! And they're torturing my boy!
Guy Dangar comes in.
Mother, have you got that 200 pounds?
That'll be all right, dear. It's in your father's hands.
You told father?
I had to. Surely you can trust your father?
It's all up. Nothing can save me now.
But your father will pay it for you.
It's too late. They're in there finding out. They know.
No? Know what?
Clibborn appears at the office door.
Mr. Guy, your father wishes to see you here.
Mother, don't believe them. Promise you'll never believe them.
Guy, you're my boy. How could I ever believe anything against my little baby?
He follows Clibborn into the office. LaLyndsay Thong enters.
Baby, you here?
You've come to see Mr. Clibborn?
I've come to find out, to set your foolish doubts at rest.
Lindsay, you're too late. He's in there now, with Guy and John.
With his father? Then he'll be all right.
Guy's done something bad. I don't know what. No, Lindsay, it isn't that. I'm sure it isn't that. It's nothing to do with me. But I'm afraid that Tony will tell, and then... Oh, my poor boy.
It's only business. And even if it wasn't, Clibborn's no fool. He has nothing to gain by raking up the past, and everything to lose.
Mrs. Clibborn returns.
What charming things you have in your shop, Mrs. Dangar.
I'm glad you found what you want. Good morning.
She turns deliberately to Thong.
Good morning, Mrs. Dangar. I'm sorry I won't be able to get to a dance you are giving, I understand, to your employees this evening. An unfortunate prior engagement. Good morning.
She sweeps out.
I don't think that woman will cringe to me anymore. She sees it's no use.
Thong, noticing Tossie, who has come out from her counter.
I say, baby, what a pretty girl.
Now, Lindsay, no philandering with our sales girls. I won't have it. You must go for that sort of amusement to another shop.
Still, she is a pretty girl. That reminds me, I promised a friend I'd buy some things.
Not underskirts, surely.
I'm not sure they weren't underskirts. I'll have a look at 'em anyway.
My dear man, if you're contemplating buying underskirts, you've let yourself in. These things cost fortunes.
Thong fingering the edge of the underskirt on the stand.
Flimsy things like this?
Yes, you pay for the holes in them.
Still, they seem worth inspecting.
Remember, no philandering.
My dear lady, could a man philander amongst these things? They give the whole show away.
He strolls across and speaks to Tossie. After a few words, she shows him out and follows him, leaving the two customers still engaged in discussing underskirts. Guy appears from the office. He is pale and distressed.
Mother, they found out.
Found out? About you?
Yes, that I stole that money.
Oh, only that.
That? Mother, can't you understand? I took the money, the 200 I told you about. I didn't mean to keep it. I just borrowed it. I told you father had given me a thumping allowance. That's a lie. He never gave me a penny extra. And I needed money. I go about with chaps who've got hundreds a year of their own. So I got into the hands of moneylenders. Then betting. It seemed so easy. And then I was in the office handling all the money, and it seemed a sure thing to borrow 200 and put it on a horse. But I meant to pay it back. Only the horse never started. And then that suspicious beggar Clibborn Got grubbing away at the books on Saturday afternoon and discovered it. I could have fixed it all up and nobody would have known if you had got me the money. That was why Clibborn came to our place yesterday, to tell Father, and now Father is going to send me to jail.
To jail? Your father?
He isn't a father. When it's business, he's a firm.
But, my boy, that's impossible. John couldn't disgrace his name.
Oh, if he had only himself to consider, he'd hush it up quick enough, for the sake of the firm. But it's that brute Clibborn. He's got some sort of pull on Father.
Clibborn accuses you? Clibborn?
Yes, it's all him.
I'll talk to John. He spoke to you like that before, Mr. Clibborn, just to impress him. Perhaps to make it a lesson to you. But he won't do anything so outrageous.
Mother, it's no use pleading with Father. He's helpless. He'd let me off, but he can't. It's Clibborn.
Clibborn?
He knows something.
Impossible. What could he know?
He's holding something over Father. Mother, get me out of this. I've been a fool, but if only I get away from all this. Send me out onto the land, away from all these rags, and I'll never be a fool again. Mother, there's only one way. You must see Clibborn.
Clibborn?
He's bitter against Father for something. He really likes me, and I like him in spite of his gruff ways. But he's got to use me to strike Father with.
Clibborn!
Mother, you know him. You used to be friends with him. You could appeal to him.
Appeal to Mr. Clibborn? No, I couldn't do that.
You think Mrs. Clibborn beneath you. I know you snub her, but give me this one chance to go straight.
Plead to Mr. Clibborn?
Tossie and Thong reappear.
You're my boy. I'll save you, dear. I'll humble myself to that man. I'll die for you.
Seeing Lindsay Thong, who is obviously impressed with Tossie.
Lindsay!
Thong takes no notice.
It'll be all right, Guy, by tonight. You're my boy. Only my little baby that's been naughty. And you belong to me. Only to me. And trouble shan't touch you. Once I was all to you. But when boys grow up, the world thrusts their mothers aside. We see you grow away from us. You have no need for our useless love. And then you get into some little trouble, and we mothers almost thank God for it brings you back to us, and you creak to our knees just as you used to do when you were a helpless little child. And oh, how glad we are just to put our arms around you and shield you from hurt.
Mother, you won't do anything wrong. You won't put yourself in any danger.
Danger? No. But if there were, I'd save you.
But if it depends on you humiliating yourself to Clibborn, I'll take my gruel. They can't give me very long, can they?
My boy. My own boy.
She turns with him, her arm round him, comforting him.
I shall see you at the dance tonight, Tossie.
Oh, yes, sir. But you mustn't ask me for a dance.
Why not?
Gents don't ask a shop girl to dance with them.
Oh, don't they, when a girl is as pretty as you? I say, Tossie, do you get any commission on the sales you make?
Oh, yes, sir. We get our spiffs.
They go to you, not to that gorgeous bounder who bows you in.
Yes, to me.
I'll take this, and this, and this.
He grabs 3 underskirts haphazardly.
Oh, thank you, sir. Where shall I send them?
Lindsay Thong, Maclay Street. See you at the dance tonight, Tossie. Till then. Hello, Guy.
Baby sends him a glance of appeal.
I say, Guy, if you're not too busy asking females to step this way, madam, what about a round before lunch? I'll give you 7 holes.
Yes, do, Guy. It'll do you good. I'll tell John I've given you a holiday. It'll be all right by tonight, dear.
Right, Lindsay.
Guy and Thong go out. Baby watches them off and comes slowly down to the office door, hesitating whether she will knock.
Lindsay Thong? That bad man. Oh, and I did think him such a nice gent. But I can't dance with him. Everybody knows how he looks upon girls like us.
To her customers.
Now, this one looks just sweet, and considering the quality, it's quite absurdly cheap, isn't it?
No, I can't say I exactly like any of these. Haven't you got any newer models?
Baby knocks at the office door and waits. Tossie is surrounded by now with towering piles of underwear.
We've got hundreds of other models, but we can't keep them all in this showroom. In the next department, madam, if you'll kindly come this way.
Leads the way down.
We'd better see them if it's not too much trouble.
To Mrs. Cronk.
It's quite early yet. I do enjoy a good morning shopping, don't you?
They follow Tossie out. John Dangar comes from the office.
You've seen Guy.
Oh, it can't be true.
I thought it impossible too.
But you hush it up. You can't let the boy suffer for this childish fault. He's not grown up yet.
I am helpless, baby.
You? The firm? His father?
You don't understand these things. Clibborn knows.
Knows? Knows what?
That Guy is... I can scarcely say it.
Is what?
A thief.
Oh, that.
Isn't that enough? Can't you women see the seriousness of anything?
A mere slip, John.
I can't regard it that way. But for Guy's sake I would overlook it. If it wasn't for Clibborn...
Always that man.
He's got me in his power. I've tried all I know to prevent him making this public. Legally he has no case. I'm his employer. He's merely my agent. But he swears he'll make this affair public somehow. He'll set a rumor that will be most damaging to the firm. And a Guy. How could Guy take my place when it is known through the whole shop that he was a thief? I've pleaded to Clibborn. I've threatened him. He refuses.
Unconditionally? He must be mad.
There is one condition.
I knew there was a way out. Then it is easy. All you have to do is to accept his condition.
Unfortunately, that is just what I cannot do.
But to save our boy.
I cannot save Guy at the sacrifice of my honor, at the sacrifice of the firm. His condition is nothing but blackmail, a dirty bribe.
Then pay his blackmail. Take his bribe.
Baby, you don't understand. All my life I have tried to go straight as a businessman. If now I gave way to this temptation, and God knows it's hard enough to resist, I'd be as weak as Guy. I would forfeit my self-respect. I would forfeit your respect.
You wouldn't forfeit my love.
I will save him in any way that is not dishonorable, but not that way.
Oh, you businessmen! You make a cruel, bitter god of business. I'm only a woman, but I'd save my son anyway. I'd save him by a lie, by any conceivable sort of meanness, by the disclosure of any damning secret, by a crime. Only I'd save him.
You don't understand, baby. I'm not blaming you, but yesterday you told me and Clibborn a lie about Guy's allowance. I can forgive you because you're his mother. There was no other way. For a woman, but for a man.
What is Clibborn's blackmail?
A full partnership in the firm.
Only that?
Blackmail.
But it will save Guy.
By a bribe.
You men.
Women. Women! Baby, I love you, but how can I respect you? Your sex is only half civilized. We men have made this world. We men have built up a code of honor in this world so that man can live with man. But you are outside this world, outside the code of honor, outside the clean, fine machinery of civilized life. You women are the pretty parasites of the world, admitted to our homes as we admit our cats, because you're graceful and faithful and weak and need protection. We love you, we take you, we dress and adorn you, we give you half our possessions, we entrust you with the training of our children, we build cities for you. A city is only a row of shops, and shops are only for women. These miles and miles of plate glass, miles of illusion for women. We spend our money on necessities, and fling the rest to you to waste on useless things. Why, as you stand before me now, you are only a collection of tawdry adornments. This, and this, and this. Fripperies, bangles, rags. There isn't one bit of your clothing, for all you pay for it, as useful as the clothes of a navvy. There is not one of your rags that will protect you from the wind or the sun or the rain. Why, if you were left exposed to the rain for an hour, this beautiful, dainty thing would be nothing but a draggled sop. Your hats, do they protect your heads? Your shoes, do they support your feet? Your dress, does it cover you? No, you produce nothing, you spend everything. You do nothing, you waste everything. You're parasites, useless parasites upon men. Women, women! Parasites, inefficients, wasters, wasters!
My dear John, we may be useless, but what are you? Where would you be if it wasn't for us? We may be parasites, but you have made us parasites. We may be wasters, but you prey on us.
I didn't make the world, I merely made use of it.
You men. You've got your pretty little codes, your precious honour, the god you call business. You pet us and despise us. You love us like equals and treat us like children. Who made women a parasite? You, who wanted a parasite. You are the wasters, for you have wasted our womanhood. You do not know the sympathy and kindness we could have brought into your harsh business world. Teach us, train us, and we will pay you back in something finer than mere love. Why, what employer would deliberately allow half his employees to be left untrained? We are made for bigger things than love. When I married you, I wanted nothing so much as to be part of your business, for that would have been part of you. And I could have helped you, but you sent me back to my fripperies. I asked you for companionship. You gave me a new hat.
Because you could not help. Why, what could you do now to save Guy except lie?
I could save him now.
You talk like this at this moment when Clibborn is in there preparing his proofs. At any moment he will open that door and pass out to ruin Guy. I can't prevent him. I've tried everything possible to a man.
Then let me try everything possible to a woman.
More lies?
No. It may be worse than a lie. It may be the truth.
Baby, what secret is it you keep from me? What secret that makes you cry out in your sleep?
Do I cry out? What do I say?
I cannot make out, but sometimes I hear you moan. You are in some trouble, but I never dare to speak of it.
Dreams. Only absurd dreams. But that man in there, he must be stopped. He must never come out of that door. He must be silenced.
Baby, I'm done. I'm beaten. Help me.
I can silence him. Wait here. I must see him alone.
As she is going to the office, John interposes.
What are you going to do?
Tell him...
Tell him what? What have you to tell him?
John, I can stop him.
No, I forbid you.
This is my affair. You have failed. You refuse to sacrifice yourself. I, his mother, must.
No. What hold have you got over Clibborn that I have not? By God, baby, what have you got to do with that man?
Let me see him before it's too late.
Baby, I don't trust you. You have lied to me. What lie are you going to tell Clibborn?
I am going to tell him something that neither he nor you know. Something that will change our lives forever.
She tries to reach the door, but John stands with his back to it.
Oh, well, since you refuse...
She turns away hopeless, then suddenly pauses, struck with a new thought.
Yes!
Lightly controlling her agitation.
What an idiot I was! It really isn't at all necessary for me to see Clibborn. I shall see his wife.
See his wife? What good will that do?
John, you must see Mr. Clibborn. Tell him to wait till tomorrow. Tell him I am trying to persuade you to give him his partnership.
You know that's impossible!
I know, but we must have a day. Put him off, on any pretext. Keep him silent for a day. Ask him, if you like, ask him for my sake, to wait a day.
What good will it do?
Listen. This afternoon, I shall call on Mrs. Clibborn.
Call? What foolery is this?
You men are just stupid babies. You never thought of the way out. It's the simplest thing in the world, to a woman.
Pay an afternoon call.
I shall ask her to come to the ball, as my personal friend. That man, of whom you're so afraid, adores his foolish wife. She can make him do what she likes. Her one ambition is to get into society. She can do that only through me. If I personally invite her to be one of my house party tonight, her name will appear in the society columns. Sydney will know that I have taken her up. She will have realized her life's ambition. And what husband can stand against his wife's ambition? She will come tonight, and bring her husband. And if he comes, his mouth will be forever shut.
You mean to say that a mere invitation will stop him?
Of course. Any woman could have told you that. But you big, stupid babies never think of consulting us. There is always one way out of every difficulty, and that is the woman's way.
The woman's way. An invitation to a dance.
You failed, for all your man's wits.
Yes.
Have you any other clever schemes to try?
No.
Then let me try. Tonight, you'll see her and her husband at our dance. Gagged.
He won't come.
He will.
Ah, baby, if you're right. If you only could. To save Guy. With honor. Ah, no, it won't work.
Wait till tonight. And that reminds me, I must go home at once and put on my smartest dress. I must impress Mrs. Clibborn, and the only way to impress a woman is to be better dressed. You'll persuade Clibborn to give me time?
Yes, I can promise that.
I think I shall wear my fawn. Don't you think I look my smartest in my fawn, with my new model hat?
She goes out. John sees her into the lift, then comes down, pauses a moment to collect himself, then enters the office. Mrs. Megget, Mrs. Cronk, and Tossie return. Tossie is loaded up with more underskirts and looks quite worn out.
Really, I can't decide whether I like this pink one or this heliotrope.
This rose de berry looks smartest to me.
Yes, it does look sweet, now I look at it again. It is really so difficult to decide.
Why, it's past 12, I do declare.
Past 12? And I've got to get home to get lunch for the children. How the time has flown. I think, after all, I'll take this one.
It will become you beautifully, madam.
Oh, I'm not choosing it for myself. And really, now I come to think, I fancy I like this one best after all. But perhaps I'd better not decide today. You see, I'm choosing it for my aunt.
Your aunt? Oh.
Yes, and she's that crotchety and difficult to suit, you know. I think it would be more satisfactory if I brought her along and let her pick one out for herself.
We would change it, madam, if you sent it home and it didn't suit.
No, you don't know my aunt, and it's lucky you don't. She flies into such tempers, with her bad back, you know. No, I'll wait for some fine day when this tram strike is over and the old lady is able to get about, and bring her along and let her see all these and choose for herself. After all, she's got to wear it, you know. Thank you so much, miss. Good morning.
She rises and comes down with Mrs. Megget.
We've had such an exciting morning, Mrs. Megget, haven't we? Why, I've got quite an appetite.
Shall I put these two by for you, madam?
Oh, no, please don't trouble. I couldn't think of troubling you, miss.
Anything else this morning, madam?
Let me see. Yes, I do want something. A hair pad. Baby ate mine yesterday.
Hair pads. They're on the 3rd floor, madam. You take the lift.
Thank you so much. Pads are such indigestible things for babies.
Mrs. Megget attracted once more by the corset stand.
How any decent woman, let alone a widow, could be seen dead in one of these shameful things beats me.
Mrs. Cronk, leading her away, to Tossie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
They go out.
Good... Damn. Buns. Mrs. Never-Buy. I knew 'em. All my morning wasted, not a sale. Her aunt. She hasn't got an aunt. Not a spiff for all my work. And all these things to put back.
Maggs returns.
Any sales, Tossie?
Buns.
I feared so. Well, see you at the ball, Tossie.
He goes out.
He's wearing somebody else's buttonhole. My Charteris. My Maggs. Oh!
Hysterically, she sweeps the boxes and underskirts off the counter, comes excitedly out from behind the counter, knocks over the corset stand, tears the underskirts from their stands, and suddenly pauses in her frenzied rush. She has discovered the buttonhole she gave Maggs, lying discarded on the floor. She picks it up, dazed.
My buttonhole! On the floor! Flung down, thrown away. And he's flaunting some other girls. That rabbit face of a secretary likely as not. Oh, I will dance with that wicked Mr. Thong tonight. I'll sit out with him. In the dark. I'm going to have hysterics. I know I'll have him. I don't care. Nobody cares. I will have him. I will.
Breaking into hysterical tears and losing all control of herself. She completes the ruin of the room by knocking over the remaining stands and collapses weakly, sobbing, on top of the bundles of lingerie and cardboard boxes on the floor. Curtain. End of Act 2. Act 3 of The Wasters by Arthur Adams. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3. Scene. It is evening, and the reception hall at Ulladulla is decorated for the ball. The French windows are open, and outside is the intense blue of Australian moonlight. The music of a waltz, evidently played in the marquee on the lawn, is heard. Baby Dangar and John Dangar are seen standing awaiting the arrival of their guests. Baby has just shaken the hands of two ladies, and as they go off through the French windows, she faces round to receive the next arrival. Behind her are standing two ladies, stylishly gowned, members of her house party, chatting to each other. The butler waits at attention at the entrance. For a moment there is no one to announce.
It's very late. The Clibborns can't be coming.
They will. Mrs. Clibborn assured me this afternoon that she would be delighted to come and bring her husband.
But they're not here, and it's long after 9.
Miss Hebblethwaite. Mr. J. Charteris Maggs.
Elizabeth Hebblethwaite and Maggs arrive.
Good evening, Mrs. Hebblethwaite. So pleased to see you. And you, Mr. Maggs.
Your pleasure, madam? I mean, it is a great pleasure, madam.
The dancing is in the marquee, on the lawn, through there.
Elizabeth and Maggs pass out.
Here they are at last. No, it's only Lindsay.
Lindsay Thong arrives.
You're very late, you bad boy.
Sorry, baby. The usual trouble. Studs.
You ought to marry, Thong. A wife's invaluable for putting in studs.
I think Lindsay has a higher ideal of women than that.
I've no ideals about women. I'm only too grateful to Providence for letting us have 'em at all.
Two ladies behind Baby.
Good evening. I hope you have kept a dance for me.
Miss Euphemia Titania Quork.
Tossie Quork enters.
Good evening, Miss Quork.
Hello, Miss Quork. Been waiting for you for hours.
Oh, Mr. Thong, how could you say such a thing?
I could say worse things than that. I wonder if you're engaged for this waltz. Come on, or we'll miss it.
Oh, Mr. Thong.
He escorts her out.
They're not coming. They won't come.
They must come. You should have seen Mrs. Clibborn's face light up when I invited her. But they're very late. Oh, John, if they don't come, and Guy? No, they'll be here. She's not the sort to have an evening dress ready. She's fixing up something as like the description of my last ball dress as she can manage.
I know Clibborn. They won't come.
They will. I know Mrs. Clibborn.
Mr. Anthony Clibborn.
There. I told you.
But his wife, she's not with him.
Anthony Clibborn enters.
Phew. It doesn't matter about her. The main thing is we've hooked him. Good evening, Mr. Clibborn. So delighted.
Good evening. Sorry I'm late.
And Mrs. Clibborn?
I must make her apologies, Mrs. Dangar. She has a bad headache.
Oh, and I'd counted on her to make up my party. I'm so sorry. Please tell her I hope she'll be better tomorrow. I want to take her calling with me.
I'm afraid, Mrs. Dangar, it is the sort of headache that lasts 3 days.
Then I'll call tomorrow and see how she is.
I'm afraid she'll be in bed. She won't be able to see you.
Oh, but I'm keeping you from the dance. Let me introduce you to my friends. Mrs. Weston, Mrs. Quotho. Let me introduce you John's right hand in business, and one of our oldest friends, Mr. Clibborn. I want you to do me a favour, Mr. Clibborn. I'm keeping my friends from their partners. Won't you please take them to the marquee?
Certainly, Mrs. Dangar.
Clibborn takes the ladies out.
Him, and not her.
I can't understand it. She's got no headache, of course. There isn't any room in her head for an ache. It's a heartache, because she hasn't got a new dress.
But why did he come?
Oh, John, if I failed...
Where's Guy?
He's gone out. The poor boy simply couldn't dance tonight. But Mr. Clibborn here, and not his wife. He must have looked her up. But why did he come, and with that look on his face? I'm horribly afraid.
Baby, it'll be all right. He wouldn't have come unless he was going to give way. Well, I'll find out tonight. But come, we mustn't let anyone see we're worried. Come to the marquee.
They go out. Thong and Tossie enter from the side door, Tossie leading the way as if escaping from him.
In here, please, Mr. Thong.
But why not in there?
It's too lonely in there.
Well, there's nobody here either.
But lots of people will be passing through, and there's more light here.
But we don't want a crowd in Illuminations.
I do.
But why?
Because you're Mr. Thong.
Oh, that's it.
He sits beside her.
I'm not to be trusted.
I trust you. I'm sitting out with you. But I've heard all about you. You're a bad man. A wicked man.
Fancy you guessing that? Of course I'm bad. No unmarried man is a saint after 40. When that recording angel up there totals up the items in my life, I'm afraid he won't find much except clean blank pages on the credit side. And the debit side, he'll have to use a credit index cabinet and a staff of stenographers.
Mr. Thong, why don't you try to put a few good actions to balance the others? To balance that affair of Millie Sullivan's, for instance.
So you know about that? Well, I just can't help it. Made that way, I suppose, Tossie.
Oh, you can't be all bad, Mr. Thong.
Too late to start growing wings now. Look at the long list of previous convictions.
The recording angel doesn't add up like that. One little good action would wipe off 10 pages of bad ones.
But he'd have to write off a whole library.
I simply can't believe you all bad. With those eyes.
It's these confounded eyes that get me into all the trouble. Women look in 'em, just as you're looking into 'em, Tossie. And that reminds me, you can't be getting much of a living wage at the shop. Not much left over to spend on dresses and your hats, eh? This frock.
Oh, you do think it's smart, don't you?
Very pretty. Not as pretty as the wearer.
I made it myself. Copied one of our latest models.
But it's cheap, eh?
Oh, don't say it looks cheap.
Only to me, dear. Remember, I'm a connoisseur in women's dresses. I know what they cost. Had to pay for too many of 'em. But not many men could tell that that lace is imitation. Cheap imitation, too.
Yes, but every woman knows. They're dreadful, women's eyes, when they price your gown. I think hell must be a place where every other woman is better dressed, and looks you up and down. And Charteris knows, too.
Who the deuce is Charteris?
Mr. Maggs, the head shopwalker.
This way, madam. And he loves you?
No. He's dancing this very dance with that scraggy cat of a secretary. I'm so glad he saw me dancing with you. That's why I brought you in through the drawing room. I made him see me. But Eliza Hebblethwaite was wearing a real aigrette.
Abandoned Eliza. But you know you can have one too. You can have a dozen.
Oh no, I couldn't take anything from you.
You will. And a real dress. And all those expensive underthings I let myself in for this morning. You didn't guess that I was buying that little lot for you, did you, dear?
Oh, Mr. Thong.
I didn't know it either. Till I saw how nice you looked tonight.
No, I couldn't take them. From you.
Nonsense, Tossie. You must be well dressed when I take you out to supper in town.
Please, Mr. Thong, don't say things like that. I'm a good girl.
I look after you and give you a real good time. Better than wearing out your prettiness behind a woman's counter. I'll set you up in a nice little house of your own.
Tossie facing him, simply.
Mr. Thong, are you asking me to marry you?
Marry? Well, not at present. Afterwards, if I liked you very much. Anyhow, we'll see.
Then you are bad.
Turning to go.
Mr. Thong, I won't listen to you.
Oh, yes, dear, you will.
He catches her and kisses her.
How dare you? Leave me go! Leave me go!
Steady, don't be a little fool. Every girl goes on like this at first.
Leave me go or I'll scream.
No, you won't. You don't want anybody to come here and find you in my arms. Tossie, listen to reason. I love you. I want you. You like me. You can't deny that you like me. I'll be good to you. I swear I will. I'm not a marrying man, but you won't come to any harm through me. You do like me, don't you, little girl?
Tossie, weakening.
Leave me go, you brute.
Tossie, I'm sorry I frightened you.
Releasing her, but warily watching her.
Let's be friends. Kiss and be friends.
Oh, how dare you!
Kiss me.
No, the girls were right about you. You're bad. I hate you.
Yes, I'm bad. I'm rotten. Because I want you.
She makes a movement to escape.
And you don't get away.
He attempts to kiss her. She escapes.
You cad!
You're too delicious to let slip.
He attempts to seize her. She evades him, but he corners her.
Listen, Mr. Thong, you've made a mistake about me. I'm not that sort of girl. I'm straight. If I wasn't, you're not the first man who has tried it on.
No man's an angel when there are pretty women about.
Oh, but you're not bad. Not really bad. You're a good man. Only women have given in so easily to you that you've never had a chance to respect us. But I know that right down in your heart, you're good. I know you'll respect a girl who tries to go straight. You didn't know what you were doing just now. I know you're a gent. A real gent. I know you'll let me go.
Let you go? Not much. Why?
Because I feel now that I can't go. Not even if you stood over at that door. Because, oh, Mr. Thong, I feel I don't want to go.
Don't want to go? Then it's all right.
Mr. Thong, I'm good. I'm straight. And now I can't help myself. So you must help me. And I know you will. Now that I'm in your power. Now that I almost love you. You wouldn't hurt a little bird that lay in your hand with a broken wing. You couldn't hurt me. And my wings are broken. So you'll be a man and let me go. You'll let me flutter away, won't you? Because I can't flutter far.
So you're straight, eh? Clean all through? I'm sorry. You've made me feel a fool. Will you forgive me, Tossie? Oh, no, I can't ask that.
But I do forgive you.
It's nice of you to try and let me down easily, little bird. But I can't believe that.
Women have to do a lot of forgiving, Mr. Thong. It's their business, you know. And I do forgive you because... Oh, I can't help it. Because I do like you. Though I know it's wrong. But you let me go when both my wings were broken, and when I didn't even want to fly. And you knew it, and let me go. That's why I forgive you.
Tossie, you've beaten me. You've made me feel a blithering fool, and there's no worse hell for a man than that. I'm a bad egg, I'm sorry. I won't see you again. You're safe.
Turns to go.
Goodbye. I don't hate you at all.
She extends her hand.
You'll shake hands?
With a man I respect.
Come now, Tossie. You don't mean that.
I do. But you must promise me one thing. Promise me you'll let women off when they can't escape themselves. We're not much when we're up against temptation, at least the kind of women that you know. But there's very few of us, really, that want to go wrong. You've got all the odds on your side, but a real gent don't use them. And you're wrong when you think all women weak.
No. I've always known there was the other kind of woman. I've known one all my life. Known and loved her. And stood aside. And now I know too.
Give them a chance, that's all.
I'll try, little bird, though I wouldn't put any money on the result. You see, I've got too many black marks against me, filed away up there.
Listen, can't you hear a sound up there? Something like tearing up paper?
No?
I can. It's that recording angel. He's ripping out page after page of your account.
Manipulating the books, is he? The old rascal. Wait till Judgment Day, and I'll bowl him out. Well?
He puts out his hand. She takes it.
Thanks. Now I'm going to get you some supper.
I'm famished. Emotions do leave you empty, don't they?
They go out. Elizabeth Hebblethwaite and J. Charteris Maggs appear. Elizabeth comes in first, walking determinedly ahead of Maggs.
Now, say it here. The idea of proposing on the lawn in full sight of everybody where there is no place to sit down.
She seats herself. Maggs stiffly, without enthusiasm.
Elizabeth, I love you.
Oh, is that all?
Yes, I think that's all.
But it sounds so bare, Charteris. Can't you put some frillies round it?
I don't talk shop out of shop hours. This is too important for frillies. I have loved you from the first.
But you never even spoke to me till I was promoted to be Mr. Dangar's private secretary.
I worshipped at a distance, Elizabeth.
Tell me, Charteris, what do you love me for?
I really can't exactly tell. There's something about you. I think it is just you. But you're not answering me. Can you? Will you?
How on earth can I tell till you've kissed me?
Here?
No, on the customary place.
Maggs seating himself beside her and perfunctorily kissing her.
Well?
I'm not quite sure. You might try again.
Maggs does so.
Yes, it's quite astonishing how a kiss clears the head. No, you needn't stop.
He kisses her.
Yes, that settles it. I love you.
Darling, then you'll marry me?
As quick as I can. I'm fair tired of the shop.
Maggs, taken aback, springing to his feet.
Tired of the shop? You're not thinking of giving up your job?
Oh, aren't I? There's not a girl in the shop that wouldn't chuck it to marry a Chinaman. Why, the only promotion we look to is a husband. Private secretary, when I can have a house of my own.
But, my darling, you know I haven't much of a screw.
180. I looked it up long ago.
That isn't enough to set up housekeeping on, is it? I thought that with your screw added to mine, we'd be able to have quite a swell little place.
Me go on typing other people's letters when I can have a house and a husband of my own?
No, of course, but...
Me go on typing for old Dangar when I could be cooking for you?
But with your business prospects...
I've got something better than business prospects.
She embraces him.
I've got you. And bless your silly sentimental heart, darling. I don't care how small your screw is, as long as I've got you.
And you have got me.
She turns to go out.
This comes of marrying for money. And I might have had that bargain Tossie.
They go out. Baby Dangar appears. She meets Lindsay Thong entering from the garden.
Lindsay!
What's the trouble, baby?
I must see Mr. Clibborn. You must find him, and send him to me here, at once.
Right, I saw him on the lawn just now.
And don't tell John. I must see Mr. Clibborn alone.
She throws her wrap on the seat.
Where's John, anyway?
I got rid of him by sending him down to the boathouse. Some of the girls want to go for a row in the moonlight.
What do you want to see Clibborn for? I saw John speaking to him half an hour ago.
That's why. That man won't give way. He means to ruin Guy and us.
Then why did he come here?
He came confident that John would accept his terms. He came here as a conqueror to accept our surrender.
Then nothing can be done.
You can't say till I've appealed to him.
No chance.
Lindsay, don't you understand that I must save my boy at whatever cost?
Baby, I don't like it. I'm afraid.
Of what?
Of the past.
Oh, that? That's dead.
Careful, baby. No resurrections.
But for Guy.
Well, I'll send Clibborn. But careful.
He goes off. Meggs and Elizabeth Hebblethwaite enter with John Dangar. At the sight of them, Baby Dangar retires quickly.
But what is so important that it can't wait till tomorrow, Miss Hebblethwaite?
I want to resign, Mr. Dangar.
Resign? I can't spare you, if it's a question of salary.
That's what I've been telling her, sir. I say she's chucking good money away.
But I'm going to be married, Mr. Dangar.
That's a different matter. I see. Congratulations. I mustn't stand in your way, Miss Hebblethwaite. It'll be hard to replace you. To you, Maggs?
She says so.
I congratulate you, too, heartily.
To Elizabeth.
But what am I to do for another secretary as capable?
That's just what I've been telling her, sir. And if you were to raise her screw, she might.
To Elizabeth.
We needn't be in too much of a hurry, darling.
Impossible. I must give my whole time now to my trousseau.
Well, we'll meet your wishes, Miss Hebblethwaite. Maggs, I congratulate you for getting an excellent businesswoman.
I know that, sir.
But I'm keeping you from each other. You must have so much to say to each other, eh?
Oh, we've said it.
Meggs and Elizabeth Hebblethwaite go out. John, turning, and for the first time noticing Baby.
Baby, what are you hiding here for?
Did you see about those girls and the boat?
Oh, they're all right. Got heaps of young men to look after them.
I've left my wrap somewhere. I can't go out without it. I left it on one of the seats on the lawn, near the terrace. Won't you please fetch it?
But I saw it on you 5 minutes ago, dear.
I'm sure I left it on the lawn, the far end of the lawn.
Why, here it is on this seat.
So it is. Curious, I was sure I'd left it out there. Ah!
Anthony Clibborn enters.
You sent for me, Mrs. Dangar.
No.
But Mr. Thong brought your message, your urgent message.
Some mistake. I'm sorry to have inconvenienced you, Mr. Clibborn.
But he insisted on my handing over my partner to him. He told me I should find you waiting here.
Oh, yes, I quite forgot. I did want to introduce you to a dear friend of mine, Mrs. Watson. I've been telling her about Mrs. Clibborn, and she's anxious to meet her.
Very kind of you, Mrs. Dangar. But where is she?
Why, she's not here. She must have slipped out. She was here a moment ago.
But I've been here quite a time, and she wasn't here when I came. It's very curious.
With a keen look at Baby.
You wanted to see Clibborn. You sent for him. What for, Baby?
I did send for Mr. Clibborn. But now it doesn't matter.
Because I'm here?
Yes.
Ah, you tried to get me out of the way with that fiction about your rap. Yes, and that message you sent me to the boat shed. What have you to do with this man? In secret?
I just wanted to chat.
Baby, you're not telling me quite the truth.
Oh, you stupid old dear. Flaring up in this absurd way. I did have something to tell Mr. Clibborn.
Well, tell it.
I can't, while you're here.
Now I'm here, you must.
I can assure you, Mr. Dangar, I have no idea of any communication Mrs. Dangar could have for me, nor do I care to hear any. If you'll allow me, I'll go.
No, stay here. Baby, tell Mr. Clibborn what you sent for him for. I insist that you tell him now, in my presence.
John, I can't.
Because I'm here.
Because you're here.
There's something between you. Some infernal secret that I've always suspected. By God, baby, I'll find out. I've had enough of it. What is Clibborn to you, or you to him?
You must trust me. It is for Guy. I ask you to leave me and let me speak to Mr. Clibborn.
If it's for Guy, I'm his father. I insist on being present.
I must speak, or Guy is ruined. And if you compel me to speak before you, you'll regret it all your life.
Everything open and above board. No more women's tricks.
Then I'll speak. Mr. Clibborn, you are here tonight as our guest. I appeal to you to do your hostess a service. I am sure, now that you've seen how much it would mean to me, to us, for any scandal to touch Guy, that you will not insist. We've always been friends. We were friends even before I met my husband. Surely for the sake of that old friendship you will relent. Surely, remembering those old days in Redfern, you came here tonight to say you will keep silent.
Mr. Guy has confessed his fault. I shall do my duty.
No, you are not unreasonable. You will give way, if we meet you fairly.
Mr. Dangar knows my terms.
Mr. Dangar will accept your terms.
Never.
Then there is nothing more to be said.
Tony!
Tony? Where did you learn to call this man Tony? What infernal secret is between you? I will know.
Lindsay Thong enters.
Lindsay, take me into the garden. Take me away.
No, Lindsay. This is my wife.
Oh, well.
Turns to go.
No, stay. What my wife has to say to this man, you, our friend, must hear.
Yes, Lindsay, stay. I want you to stay. I shall need you afterwards.
At your service, baby.
Now speak.
You forced me to speak before you. But Lindsay will understand. John, dear, I love you. Always remember that I love you. I have always loved you. Except for 2 months' madness. Yes, John, I've been unfaithful to you. I've been weak and foolish and false. But that was all long, long ago. And I've repented through 20 years, 20 long years, every day and night of 20,000 years. I've lived it down, and ever since I've loved you, only you.
What? You don't know what you're saying, baby. You can't mean... Oh, God. Quick, out with it!
I was unfaithful to you, John. 20 years ago.
No, you can't mean... You? My wife? Unfaithful? With whom? With whom?
With that man, Tony Clibborn.
No. She's mad. Raving.
She's not responsible for what she's saying, John. Can't you see that she's so wrought up over Guy that she's hysterical? She'll say anything to save him.
Guy? Guy?
He clutches her and looks into her face.
You are not his father.
I was right then.
Not mine? Not my boy? But I've only got your word. A woman's word.
Look at Guy. Look at his eyes.
John, clutching Clibborn by the shoulder, about to strike him.
You!
Clibborn looks him in the face.
His eyes! Guy's eyes!
He drops his hand and turns heavily away.
I swear I did not know. She lied to me.
Lies, lies, always lies! All her life a lie! But you...
Coming to Clibborn.
I can pay you out!
Steady, old man. That can't do any good.
Nothing can do any good now.
He turns away. Clibborn triumphant.
Guy. My son. My son!
John, that was all over 20 years ago. It was a year or so after our marriage, the time when I hardly ever saw you, when you were so wrapped up in your big ambitions, the ambitions I so wanted to share. And Tony had wanted me before you came into my life, and it was you who sent him back into my life. And I was young and silly, and persuaded myself that I was a neglected wife. And Tony was always there, in my house, taking your place at your own wish. And so it happened. But I woke when it was too late. I sent him out of my life, never to enter it again. He is nothing to me. He has been nothing to me all these years. And I kept my secret, even from him. I could not let my child go, just as I could not let your love go. And ever since, I've been paying for that short madness. John, I've paid and paid and paid, and now, why, I can almost laugh. There is only this hour more to pay.
Pah! Guy! My boy!
John, I had to tell. I asked you to go away. You would not. And then there would have been no other chance, and Guy would have been ruined. I had to save him.
To save your Brett. To ruin him.
No, to save him.
To Clibborn.
Tony, you cannot denounce Guy now. Your son?
Mine. No. Everything is changed. I'll take him away, up country. He loves the country. A son. Guy Clibborn. Where is he?
I saw him just now in his room.
My child. I must see him. We'll go away, out of all this, into a new life.
You'll let me see him sometimes?
Yes.
Baby to Thong.
Guy! My baby! Guy!
Clibborn looks at the two backs turned to him and goes out.
You see, John, Baby was right. She has saved him.
Lost him forever.
He turns on Baby.
Damn you and your lies.
No, the truth. At last, the clean, straight truth.
Your lies were kinder. What have I left now, Guy, and you, both dead?
No, that is done with. The hideous past is dead, but you've got the present, the future.
Ashes, Dead Sea ashes.
I'll go, John. I had to speak. I'm glad, inexpressibly glad that I had the courage to speak. Goodbye.
Looks appealingly at him. He makes no move.
Out of my life, you.
Baby Dangar goes slowly out, with a long look at him. The music of a waltz is heard again all through the following scene, rising at the last to a triumphant climax.
Poor chap. It's a knockout, I know. But you must listen to me. All that happened years ago. All that has been lived down through 20 years of agony.
How do I know? How do I know she's not lying, yet in love with him still? If she could live that lie to me for 20 years, why mayn't she be lying to me now? She has murdered something in me. My trust in her. I can never trust her again.
You talk like a melodrama. Life isn't a melodrama. She loves you. Ask yourself, man.
All lies.
No. Why did she keep silence so long? To retain your love.
How do I know? Everything is gone.
With a sudden hope.
Lindsay, after all, her confession was only another lie. A desperate lie to save the boy.
It was the truth.
But we've only got her word to go on.
John, old chap, I know.
You knew?
From the first. She told me.
You knew all along that guy?
No, she never told me that. But I suspected.
But you knew all about her and that man?
Yes.
I see now that I must have suspected all along. But the thing was inconceivable. Yet Guy was so different to me, so unbusinesslike. And his eyes.
Baby told me, with tears and abasement, after she had sent Clibborn away, forever, that brief madness, for which you were to blame, had burnt itself out, and she meant to confess it all to you.
Ha!
I wouldn't let her. I persuaded her out of it, and I acted rightly. There isn't one of us, man or woman, who hasn't some ugly little incident that is happily buried and won't bear exhuming. If she kept silent, she was safe. She could retain your love, the only thing she cared for then. But could she have kept silence when she saw her boy being ruined before our eyes? Baby isn't that sort, thank God. Think. When you shrank from a trivial business sacrifice to save Guy, she risked all her happiness. I believe every mother in the world would have done the same. John, old chap, can't you see the greatness of her sacrifice?
Impulse. A mere unreasonable impulse.
What would you give to be capable of such an impulse? These women, we laugh at them, we pet them, we play with them, we carefully or contemptuously screen them from all the big things of life, and yet they're bigger than us. They're greater than us.
What's the good of talk? The thing's done.
The era is done, finished with, buried. But there is the future.
Well, I've just got to go through with it.
John.
What can you expect me to do?
Forgive her. Take her back.
Forgive her? That?
No. Go down on your knees and thank her.
For what?
For her sacrifice.
Pah! A mere animal instinct for her cub.
It seems to me that there isn't anything higher in the world than that. Without that instinct, where would this old rot of a world have been by now? Why, a mother started sacrificing herself for you as soon as you were born. If she had left you to yourself, if she hadn't had that mere animal instinct for her cub, merely being born of a woman isn't the great thing. It's her long sacrifice for us that makes our debt so huge. Why, if the bringing up of children had been left to men, we'd drown 'em as a nuisance. But a mother, even after she's had a dozen of 'em, does she ever think of drowning the 13th? No, they can't help it. They've got the itch to sacrifice. That's what they came into this world for.
But to ruin my life?
No, to make your life. You've been so wrapped up in your business that you never lived. You looked on your wife as a pleasant slave provided by Providence to look after your home and put in your shirt studs. And all the while she had her own life to live, and you stayed outside and slammed the door. Can you blame her, young, inexperienced, weak, if when she found that one door locked against her, she tried the latch of another?
What is before us both now, but hate and loneliness?
The future is before you, the new life, the true comradeship. You've never understood each other, never made allowances for each other. You must forgive her, for she has loved much. You must go humbly to her, and seeing her weakness, be grateful for a strength in her that is greater than yours. You must make the best of her, and the best of a woman is finer than the best of a man.
Talk, talk. If I could forgive her, how could I forget the past?
Dead. 20 years dead.
No, this is its resurrection.
Yes, a resurrection. That dead fault, that dead secret, lying all these years in its grave, pressed down with terrified hands. That dead thing has come to life, gloriously raised by supreme sacrifice. Think of the sheer bravery of that moment, you brave man. Without that dead sin, you would never have known the fine fibre of baby's soul. And this is the woman you could let slip from your life. This is the woman you think you can let go. Can you? Dare you, John Dangar, businessman?
Wait. Everything's gone. Love, wife, child.
Your boy's gone. He was never yours. You never liked him. You were never friends. Well, he's gone out of the life he was never in. But your wife, she's still within your reach. And you want to send her forever beyond your reach. Lonely, old boy. You'll be lonely. You won't like it. You can't stand it. Business won't make up for that loss. Suppose she has deceived you. Are there any men whom women haven't deceived? I've had my share of their tricks. Bless them, it's their game. They are brought up on it. We expect it of them. We wouldn't like if, by some miracle, a woman did tell us the truth about ourselves. I heard it once, and it wasn't nice. I heard it only tonight. And after all, what do women's lives matter? We allow for them. It's only a game of theirs. They play it as a game. You know it takes a man to be a real professional liar. And even a real liar has to pass all sorts of difficult examinations before he's allowed to practice. Why, women's deceit is half their charm, for us. They keep us delightfully guessing. And once we've guessed that big conundrum, woman, life holds nothing more for us but a good dinner. Granted, John, that this deceit was the big one, the biggest card a woman can play. Granted that she's betrayed you, broken you. Well, cut that out. Aren't there enough of her good qualities left to enable you to carry on? She's not an angel. She's better. She's a woman. And you're not exactly an angel yourself. Suppose she's not your ideal now. Suppose she's only the second best. You thought you had got the best. Not all of us deserve the best. But we men get a damn sight more than we do deserve when we get a good woman like Baby. And isn't the second best better than none at all? She's your wife. She loves you. She proved that just now. You love her. Oh, yes, you do, or you would have forgiven her half an hour ago. You've grown accustomed to her. You'll miss her. Oh, Lord, how you'll miss her. You'll miss her about the house. You'll have to engage a housekeeper. You know you can't manage servants. All you can manage is a shop. Well, she's your housekeeper. She knows your ways. She makes things run easily for you. I know what it takes to run a house smoothly. I'm a bachelor. John, I'm simply appealing to your business interests. Stick to your housekeeper. Changes are bad for business.
Wait! It's too soon. Wait.
Isn't she waiting? Out there somewhere. Isn't every minute now to her an eternity? You simply can't afford to wait. If you wait an hour, you'll have to wait a lifetime. You're not a young man. You haven't a long time to make it up in. Begin now. This isn't a lover's quarrel. You've grown into a friendship more compact than love. Well, you'll send her away, and for the rest of your lives you two, who need each other now that you've only got each other, will be dead to each other, dead in the same small world. You won't like it. You can't even button a stud without her fingers. But you'll be too proud, and you'll go on breaking your fingernails over your studs and wasting time in bad language. You will make the experiment of living without women, an experiment that has so far never succeeded. Look at me. Women may be weaklings and wasters, but we can't do without at least one of them.
It's no use, Lindsay. I can't think yet. Wait.
And she? Man, do you think she would come back to you if you waited half an hour more? She's growing away from you every moment you waste listening to me.
It's easy enough for you to talk. I'm on the rack, and do you expect me to behave like a reasonable man? Oh, you can talk, and what you say is right, but you're outside of it all. It doesn't hurt you. It's easy for you.
Easy? Good God, John, can't you guess how hard it is for me? Haven't you ever guessed?
You? You've loved her?
Loved her? Man, I love her. I've loved her ever since I saw her at your wedding. I love her better than you ever did.
You told her?
Told her? No, you thundering fool. Didn't I say I love her?
She doesn't know?
Thank all the gods she doesn't know. I've been happy enough. It's something worthwhile just to love a woman like that. I'm not much. That old clerk of a recording angel works overtime solely on my account. But all the good there is in me is due to Begbie. And you think I don't see her faults? And do her faults make any difference? And John, if you send her out of your life, No, I don't think I could tell her, even then.
Lindsay, I love her. Can't you see that it is because I love her that I can't forgive her?
Is it because you love her that you stand here listening to a windbag and letting her cry her dear eyes out? She has sacrificed all. Can't you sacrifice that trivial thing, your pride? Haven't I sacrificed? For 20 years.
Lindsay, you're right. You've taught me. I did not know that love could be like that.
John, go to her. Say nothing. Hold out your arms.
You think there's time yet to get her back?
I know her better than you. There's time.
In the garden?
Yes. Don't speak. Take her in your arms and let her have a good, comfortable cry.
If only I'm in time.
John Dangar goes out quickly. The music of the waltz swells triumphantly. Thong watching him off, then turning with a gesture of renunciation and looking up and raising his arm triumphantly.
Wake up, you old rot of a recording angel up there. Wake up, and put down one little white mark on those big blank pages devoted to the credit balance of Lindsay Thong. Bad egg.
Curtain. End of Act 3. End of The Wasters by Arthur Adams.